Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. If you let people step all over you, they'll walk you straight into your own grave. It's a brutal truth, but one that Sigma females have mastered early on. While the world expects women to be agreeable, accommodating, and forever compromising, Sigma females throw that script straight out the window. And here's a fact that stings. Studies show that people who are perceived as too nice are often taken for granted, even exploited. But not these women. They've built a reputation for being utterly unmovable, not out of arrogance, but from sheer necessity. See, calling a Sigma female a pushover is like trying to sell ice to an Eskimo. Good luck with that. They don't just resist being walked on, they make the idea laughable. So what is it about them that makes even the most manipulative people back off? Let's dive in, but fair warning, their mindset isn't for the faint of heart. Number 1. They're not afraid to be misunderstood. Sigma females don't waste their time bending over backward to make people understand them. They're aware that trying to explain themselves to everyone is like shouting into a void, pointless and exhausting. This isn't arrogance, it's wisdom. They've learned that the energy spent convincing someone to see things from their perspective could be better invested in moving forward. If someone doesn't get their intentions or their decisions, it's not a Sigma female's problem to solve. She's not afraid of leaving people in their confusion. This willingness to be misunderstood comes from a place of self-assurance and solid boundaries. Sigma females understand that some people thrive on projecting their insecurities onto others or twisting narratives to fit their comfort zones. They know that some will misinterpret their independence as arrogance, their decisiveness as coldness, or their quiet confidence as aloofness. But here's the kicker. They don't care. Why? Because they've learned that the truth doesn't need a megaphone or validation from the masses. For Sigma females, acceptance and validation from others aren't essential to their sense of self. They don't crave applause or spend nights obsessing over who thinks what. This keeps them untethered to society's expectations or anyone's approval. It's not that they're emotionless robots. They just value their peace over trying to align with everyone's perspective. The beauty is, this mindset frustrates manipulators and critics. When you can't shame or guilt someone into explaining themselves, you lose power over them. This is exactly why Sigma females can't be pushed around or cornered. They don't play the game at all. In their world, understanding isn't a prerequisite for respect. They give people the freedom to misunderstand them, and that's precisely what keeps them unshakable. Number 2. They don't view conflict as a threat. Sigma females don't shy away from conflict because, frankly, they see it as inevitable. They know that avoiding tough conversations or sugarcoating the truth to keep things peaceful only creates more chaos in the long run. Instead, they confront issues head-on without dramatics or unnecessary aggression. They're not going to raise their voice to make a point. They don't need to. Their words alone carry enough weight. And here's the thing. It's not that they enjoy conflict. They just don't fear it like most people do. They view it as a necessary tool to clear up misunderstandings, establish boundaries, and cut through the noise. When a Sigma female sees something wrong, she calls it out without flinching, and she doesn't let discomfort hold her tongue. Some people freeze at the thought of causing waves or making others uncomfortable, but not her. She isn't about to sacrifice her peace or values to maintain fake harmony. The beauty of it is, she can deliver cold, hard truths without feeling the need to cushion them with excessive niceties. She's straightforward because she understands that sugarcoating the truth doesn't make it less bitter, just more confusing. This directness catches people off guard because society often expects women to be passive or overly agreeable. But Sigma females are anything but. They're not interested in being liked if it means they have to pretend or bite their tongues. And if someone thinks they're too blunt or intimidating, that's not her problem. What's funny is, people often accuse them of being difficult when really they're just honest in a world that praises politeness over truth. At the end of the day, Sigma females have learned that true respect often comes from standing their ground, even if it ruffles some feathers. After all, they're not here to make everyone comfortable. They're here to be real. Number 3, mental resilience over emotional fragility. Sigma females have a kind of mental resilience that makes them hard to break or manipulate. They aren't easily thrown off by insults, guilt trips, or blame games because they don't rely on others for their emotional stability. It's not that they're cold or heartless, they just know that if their peace of mind depends on other people's opinions or actions, they're handing over too much control. This independence in their thinking keeps them steady, even when others try to create chaos around them. When someone tries to play emotional games, whether it's gaslighting, playing the victim, or dropping passive-aggressive hints, Sigma females don't bite. They can see right through these tactics, and more importantly, they refuse to give those tactics power. They don't react impulsively or allow themselves to be cornered into making emotional decisions. Instead, they stay calm, weigh the situation, and then respond strategically. This calculated approach frustrates manipulators who rely on stirring up strong reactions to gain control. A big part of their resilience comes from a deep self-awareness. They've done the hard work of knowing themselves, flaws and all, so when others try to weaponize those flaws or use them as leverage, it falls flat. Sigma females aren't immune to self-doubt or insecurities, but they don't let them become open wounds for others to poke at. This inner strength acts as a shield, making emotional manipulation or intimidation tactics completely ineffective. Most importantly, they aren't emotionally fragile. They don't let every criticism, argument, or disagreement shake them to their core. Instead, they use conflict as a way to refine their thinking and reinforce their boundaries. Sigma females don't view challenges as threats. They see them as opportunities to become even more unbreakable. And that's why, no matter how hard someone tries, breaking their mental fortress is a lost cause. Number 4. They know how to say no without feeling guilty. Sigma females have mastered the simple yet powerful art of saying no without guilt. For many, refusing a request feels like a tightrope walk, balancing what they want with what others expect. But Sigma females don't play this balancing act. They understand that their time, energy, and mental peace are non-renewable resources, so they guard them fiercely. When they say no, it's not open to negotiation or debate. It's not followed by long-winded justifications or excuses either. They don't over-explain because they know that explaining invites arguments or worse, manipulative attempts to wear them down. Their refusal comes from a place of clarity and self-respect. They know their priorities and aren't afraid to protect them, even if it disappoints or irritates others. This straightforward approach can make people uncomfortable, especially those used to others tiptoeing around their feelings or accommodating their every whim. But a Sigma female would rather face that discomfort head-on than compromise her own needs to keep the peace. Interestingly, this confidence in saying no isn't about being rude or dismissive. It's about recognizing that pleasing everyone is impossible, and trying to do so only leads to exhaustion and resentment. Sigma females have no patience for unnecessary stress, so they cut it off at the source by setting firm boundaries. If someone pushes or tries to make them feel guilty, they stand their ground calmly but decisively, making it clear that their decision isn't up for debate. This ability to say no unapologetically is what sets Sigma females apart. They aren't afraid of being labeled as difficult or selfish because they know that saying yes to everyone else means saying no to themselves, and they refuse to sacrifice their peace and priorities just to satisfy someone else's expectations. Number 5. No time for people projects. Sigma females have a knack for cutting people off without hesitation, and it's not because they're heartless, it's because they don't tolerate toxicity. They're fiercely protective of their energy and well-being, and they're not afraid to remove anyone who disturbs that balance. When someone crosses a line or becomes more of a drain than a support, Sigma females don't give endless chances or beg for respect. They simply walk away. No grand speeches or dramatic exits needed. What's most striking is how silently they can detach. They don't broadcast it, they don't warn you with ultimatums, and they certainly don't stick around hoping things will magically change. They recognize patterns quickly, and once someone shows their true colors, a Sigma female trusts what she sees. This isn't about being unforgiving, it's about self-preservation. If someone brings constant negativity, drama, or disrespect into her life, she doesn't linger in the hope of a personality overhaul. She cuts the cord and moves on without looking back. But here's where it gets interesting. This firm stance often shocks people, especially those who've underestimated her boundaries. The silent cutoff catches them off guard because most people expect women to be endlessly patient or forgiving. But Sigma females reject that narrative. They understand that being too forgiving can turn into self-betrayal, so they hold themselves to a different standard, one that demands accountability and respects their own needs. It's not that they don't care about people, they just care more about their peace. If someone consistently disrupts that, they're out. No second guessing or guilt trips involved. This level of self-respect is rare, and it's exactly why Sigma females can't be pushed around. They've mastered the art of knowing when to let go, and they're not afraid to leave someone behind to protect their well-being. Number 6. Their circle is minuscule for a reason. Sigma females have a tiny exclusive circle for a reason. They don't do fake friendships, emotional freeloaders, or yes men. If someone makes it into their inner circle, it's because they genuinely earned that spot. For them, friendship isn't a numbers game. And they're not out here collecting friends like they're rare Pokemon cards. They value quality over quantity, and they'd rather have 2 solid friends they can count on than 20 who only show up for the good times and selfies. This ruthless curation isn't about being antisocial or snobbish. Sigma females understand that their energy is precious, and they're not about to waste it entertaining superficial connections. They have a sharp radar for fake smiles and empty flattery. If someone's just there to stroke their ego or stick around for the perks, the Sigma female will show them the door without a second thought. She's not interested in maintaining relationships out of obligation or fear of being alone. She's completely comfortable with her own company, and this approach pays off. In her circle, there are no sycophants who agree with every word or emotional vampires who drain her with their constant drama. Everyone in her tribe brings something real to the table: trust, loyalty, and a willingness to have honest conversations, even if those conversations aren't always pleasant. And when it comes to drama, well, let's just say a Sigma female keeps it on a tighter leash than her Netflix account. Her circle may be small, but it's solid. They're like her chosen family, and she guards that inner sanctum fiercely. Because let's face it, she doesn't have time for half-hearted friendships or people who are only around when it's convenient. Life's too short for fake friends, and Sigma females are perfectly fine with keeping their circle tight and drama-free. Number 7. Calculated withdrawals from toxic environments. Sigma females are experts at knowing exactly when to withdraw from toxic environments, and they do it without making a scene. While others might hang around arguing, complaining, or holding out hope for change, Sigma females understand the harsh truth. You can't fix what's fundamentally broken. They have zero interest in sticking around to convince people to change or tolerating situations that don't serve them. When the red flags start waving, they don't wait for them to turn into giant flashing billboards. They just quietly pack up their dignity and leave. They don't waste time planning grand, dramatic exits either. There's no need to deliver that mic drop speech or throw a pity party on their way out. When it's time to go, they slip out of the toxic situation like a ghost, and they don't feel the need to look back or hold on to any lingering resentment. It's not about being detached or unemotional, it's about being practical. Sigma females know that clinging to bitterness only chains them to the very toxicity they escaped, so they choose to leave and let go. This ability to cut ties without making a fuss often baffles people. In a world where most feel the need to declare their departure with long explanations or passive-aggressive jabs, Sigma females' silent exits come off as mysterious. But there's a method to their madness. By leaving without drama, they're not giving anyone a chance to pull them back in or create more chaos. It's their way of taking control of the situation without giving it more power than it deserves. For a Sigma female, it's simple. When a place, person, or situation becomes a drain, they walk away quietly and reclaim their peace. They're not running from problems. They're refusing to stay somewhere they don't belong. Number 8. They don't fear loneliness, they embrace it. Unlike many who fear being alone, Sigma females genuinely embrace it. while people pleasers will twist themselves into knots to avoid loneliness, compromising, sugarcoating, or bending over backward. Sigma females see solitude as their ally, not an enemy. They don't dread time spent alone because they know it's not a punishment. It's an opportunity. It's their chance to recharge, reflect, and get grounded in their thoughts. Alone time isn't just a break. It's essential maintenance for their well-being. The relationship Sigma females have with solitude is the key to their independence. They've mastered the art of being comfortable in their own company. And this comfort creates a certain freedom. When you're not afraid of being on your own, you're not easily manipulated or influenced. So any attempt to threaten them with rejection or abandonment falls flat. They simply don't give those tactics the power to scare them into submission. Where others might panic at the thought of losing a connection, Sigma females see it as a potential gain, more time to invest in themselves, their goals, and their peace. But don't mistake their love for solitude as isolation. It's not that they hate people, they just know the value of selective company. They'd rather be alone with their thoughts than surrounded by superficial relationships that drain their energy. This mindset allows them to make clearer decisions and maintain stronger boundaries, which, let's be honest, tends to catch manipulative people off guard. So, while some people spend their lives bending to avoid loneliness, Sigma females walk a different path. They're not chasing approval or validation, and they're certainly not afraid of losing anyone who tries to control them with fear. They've learned to embrace the silence and find strength in it, which makes them practically unshakable. Number 9. Ruthless realism. Sigma females navigate life with a fierce commitment to ruthless realism. While many people get swept up in grand gestures and emotional promises, Sigma females maintain a practical lens through which they assess their situations. They might appreciate a beautiful speech or a well-timed compliment, but they understand that words are just that, words. In their world, actions speak louder than any poetic declaration, and they won't be swayed by mere sentimentality. This practical approach keeps them grounded and clear-headed, allowing them to make decisions based on reality rather than emotion. They have a finely tuned ability to read situations and people, discerning whether intentions align with actions. If someone says they'll be there for them but consistently drops the ball, a Sigma female will take note, and the disappointment won't lead to heartache, but rather a reassessment of the relationship. They don't wallow in feelings of betrayal. They simply move on, knowing their time and energy are too valuable to waste on empty promises. This clarity leaves manipulators in a precarious position. Those who thrive on emotional appeals and dramatic displays find their tactics ineffective against a Sigma female's steadfast realism. For them, it's not about charming someone into submission. It's about showing consistent, reliable behavior over time. If someone tries to pull at their heartstrings or play the victim, Sigma females remain unfazed, seeing through the smoke and mirrors. Ultimately, their grounded decision-making empowers them to establish strong boundaries and prioritize their own well-being. They create relationships based on mutual respect and accountability, which is why they often have fewer but more meaningful connections. In a world full of noise and emotional games, Sigma females thrive in the clarity of their rational perspective, rendering emotional manipulation powerless. They don't just survive, they thrive, all while keeping their eyes wide open. Number 10. Indifference is their weapon. For most people, the fear of missing out, FOMO, can be a powerful motivator. One little nudge about a party or a last-chance sale, and suddenly they're bending over backward to fit in. Enter the Sigma female who wields indifference like a superhero brandishing a shield. While others may squirm at the thought of missing out on the latest trends or social gatherings, she remains cool, calm, and collected, often more interested in curling up with a good book than chasing after the latest Instagram-worthy event. They've mastered the art of indifference to the point where it's practically an Olympic sport. Coercing a Sigma female is like trying to convince a cat to take a bath. It's just not happening. Emotional triggers? Guilt trips? Pfft. Sigma females can spot that manipulative behavior from a mile away, and they know just how to tune it out like a bad radio station. "Oh, you're disappointed I didn't come to your event? Sorry, I was busy." Not caring. It's almost as if they've installed a mental "do not disturb" sign when it comes to emotional coercion. Indifference isn't just a shield, it's their secret weapon. When everyone else is scrambling to say yes out of fear of being left behind, Sigma females take a step back and weigh their options. Go to the party and endure small talk with people I barely know, or stay home and binge watch my favorite series. Tough call. The choice is clear, and they don't need anyone's approval to justify it. This cool detachment not only protects their peace, but also drives manipulators to despair. They can't tap into feelings that simply aren't there, rendering their tactics completely ineffective. In a world of emotional chaos, Sigma females stand out like a Zen garden in a bustling city. Their indifference keeps them grounded and reminds everyone that they won't be swayed by outside pressures. So go ahead and throw all the guilt trips you want. She'll just smile, nod, and happily retreat to her perfectly curated bubble of blissful solitude. In a world that often rewards emotional manipulation and conformity, Sigma females remain unapologetically true to themselves, wielding their unique strengths like a finely tuned instrument. They embrace solitude, prioritize practicality over sentimentality, and expertly navigate relationships with a blend of fierce independence and calculated realism. Their indifference isn't just a defense mechanism, it's a powerful tool that liberates them from the shackles of societal expectations and emotional coercion. By choosing quality over quantity in friendships and cutting ties with toxic environments, Sigma females carve out a space where they can thrive, free from drama and negativity. They remind us that true strength lies in the ability to stand alone when necessary and to move through life with clarity and purpose. So the next time you feel the pressure to conform or the fear of missing out creeping in, channel your inner Sigma female, because sometimes the most empowering thing you can do is simply say no. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the extraordinary world of Sigma females, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more captivating content that challenges the status quo and celebrates individuality. Join our community and keep the conversation going as we explore what it truly means to live life on your own terms. Your journey to empowerment starts here. Thanks for watching, Jules. See you in the next video. Bye for now and stay blessed.